Five Nights at Freddy's. By far, without a doubt, my favorite video game franchise of all time. Since the first game came out when I was 6 years old in 2014, I have dedicated a concerning amount of my brain to these games and everything around them. I've played every mainline game, I've watched every game theory video, and I own an alarming amount of merchandise. So naturally, when the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was announced, I, much like everyone else, was beyond excited. Then the movie came out and it was pretty mediocre. Got terrible reviews from critics, non-FNAF fans online hated it as well, but despite the negative reception from some, the first movie was a box office success, and the fans of the franchise absolutely adored it. While I definitely liked the first FNAF movie and thought it was a good time, it is objectively not very good, and I don't blame anyone for hating it. I had high hopes that when the second movie rolled around, that Blumhouse had taken criticism into account, and would make sure the second movie was an improvement over the first. It was not. It's almost funny how duplicated the reception of the second movie feels. Both movies were received the exact same way. It got a depressingly low score on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics and non-FNAF fans alike just absolutely despised it. But fans of the games were licking the movie's boot, calling it a masterpiece and all the "it's for the fans" nonsense. I honestly had lost a lot of interest in watching the movie because of its poor reception, thinking that yet again they fumbled what could have been an awesome movie. Now that I've actually watched FNAF 2, were my worries justified? Yeah, this movie kinda blows. Is it worse than the first movie like some have claimed? God no, but it's definitely not that big of an improvement either. I want to go over some of the positives because despite the negative things I will say later in the video, this movie does have some genuinely awesome things about it. Let's start with the animatronics and set design. Just like the first film, the Jim Henson Company perfectly captured the likeness of these characters. It is so surreal seeing these childhood icons of mine on the big screen. The set design of this movie is also a major improvement over the first. Things like the security office being perfectly modeled after the games, or the pizzeria itself look incredible. These elements were definitely two of the movie's highlights. The cinematography in this movie is pretty good for the most part. There's some really cool sequences here and there that did genuinely impress me. I really love the scene where Mango was attacking Vanessa on top of her car. That was awesome. I also enjoyed Vanessa's dream sequence until that goofy shot of Matthew Lillard falling. That, like, what was that? The opening title sequence, just like the first, was pretty cool as well. And the lighting throughout the movie is noticeably better than the first, in my opinion. Every scene has a nice look to it. Nothing's too dim, nothing's too bland, just right. The dinner scene with Mike and Vanessa is really well lit, in my opinion. The lighting just looks really good. Then there's the music. Whoever composed the music for this film needs a firm handshake and a smack across the ass because, man, this soundtrack rocks. I also noticed the references in this movie were a lot less plentiful than the first. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely certain things put in the movie to make fans point at the screen and pee themselves, but not as many as the first. The puppet's lines from Ultimate Custom Night being referenced was pretty cute.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way.
They also referenced the legendary FNAF beatbox meme, which is peak.
Oh, maybe not.
Also, the GOAT, Corey Kenshin, comes back for another cameo. That's my boy! It's Been So Long by Living Tombstone, being the end credit song, is simply iconic. If Dying of Fire is not up next, I'm going to be upset. I also want to shout out Elizabeth Lally? Elizabeth, who played Vanessa. She is by far the best performance in the movie. She is acting circles around the rest of the cast, and it's not close. Another shout out to Skeet Ulrich as Henry. He did great for the singular scene his character had in the entire movie. So this is where the positives end. I want to preface this section by saying this entire movie script was written by the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's himself, Scott Cawthon. Keep that in mind. Yeah, keep that in mind. The dialogue in this movie is just as weirdly written as the first. The first indicator of this is the opening scene, where Charlie, the girl who'd end up possessing the puppet, is sitting alone at a birthday party. Charlie witnesses William Afton, the villain from the first movie, kidnapping a child. She tries to get help, but no one's willing to listen. And it is genuinely hilarious how angrily dismissive the adults are. It feels like Scott couldn't just find a subtle way to convey the adults' negligence, so these characters are just aggressively mean to Charlie, and it's unironically kind of funny.
Excuse me, there's a boy who needs help.
Go tell your parents.
Please, there's something wrong.
Go tell your parents.
Sir, please, there's somebody who needs help.
Not right now.
Please.
Not right now.
Will anybody help me? Please help me.
Sorry, adults are talking. Run along.
Then we have literally every scene featuring Abby's robotics teacher. This is another example of Scott trying way too hard to convey something in the script. This character is so comically cruel to Abby, it is so over the top. Here's some other moments of bad dialogue, like the school bus scene where Abby just recaps the first movie as bluntly as possible.
So then Chica tried to shove me into a spring lock suit. But then Mike came in and he had a taser and he shot her in the face with it. But then the yellow rabbit came and he attacked us.
Then there's the Faz Fest scene.
Dude, that costume is legendary. I don't know. Seems kind of fake to me.
Then there's the multiple instances of Vanessa over-explaining things.
No, those are just prototypes used for spare parts. It's Charlotte. She's behind everything. They're being wirelessly controlled by the marionette. It seems like the marionette needs something or someone to bond to in order to move around.
Now we have... now we have the story. The story of the movie. Oh my God. Where do I even begin? This movie's plot is an absolute mess. Like, legitimately, what crack was Scott smoking? Give me your plug. I need some of that, bro. I'm gonna go through everything I hated about this story in chronological order. Let's cover this disaster scene by scene, shall we? It honestly didn't start off that bad until the reveal of Faz Fest. So basically, rumors spread of what happened in the last movie, and now the entire town throws a massive festival every Halloween to celebrate it? What? The whole thing just seems very unnecessary to the story and pretty forced. Heck, it doesn't even have a role in the narrative outside of just existing. In one part of the movie, Abby goes back to the original pizzeria because she misses the animatronics, and Mike goes after her. After being consoled by Mike when realizing that the animatronics were not there, Abby finds a fast talker that somehow still works after presumably 20 plus years. Mike then finds a flyer saying Freddy's his murder, so for whatever reason he calls up a ghost hunting crew from a show Abby watched. Yeah. But rather than going to the location from the first movie, they go to the original location. Ooh. These characters are bland and forgettable. So forgettable that I'm not even sure the script even told us their names. They just exist to be killed off in increasingly dumb ways. Like, this one guy falls into the boat ride. He could very easily just climb out, but no, he just stands in the water and gets drowned. Incredible writing. Now let's get to one of my bigger issues with this movie story, okay? Michael Afton and the puppet are the antagonists of this movie. You heard that right. Michael freaking Afton and the puppet are the villains. Why? Just why? Scott, my brother in Christ, what are you on? So, in case you're not a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan, let me explain why this is complete lunacy. William Afton is the main antagonist of the original 7 games. He is the one who murdered the first children that would end up possessing the animatronics. He was the one who pretty much started it all. And Michael Afton is his son. And in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 3, Sister Location, and Pizzeria Sim, we are playing as Michael Afton, desperately trying to undo the sins of our father's past and fix what he broke. So making Michael the villain, it's just stupid. And he's not a good villain either. His entire motivation is to continue his father's legacy by helping the puppet pretty much commit genocide across the entire town. Like, that is so lazy. That is so lazy. Come on, Scott. His character is nothing. Like, Michael's character in this movie is literally nothing outside of just, I don't know, being creepy, and that's really it. Then we have the puppet. Don't even get me started on the puppet. In the games, the puppet is a peaceful, benevolent force, guiding the souls of the dead children and eventually helping them move on to the afterlife. In the movie, she's this bloodthirsty ghost who, rather than blaming the guy who murdered her, she instead blames all parents and decides to just break into houses attempting to kill random moms and dads within town. Are we serious? During Vanessa's dream sequence, we see Circus Baby. Why is she here? She does not serve any narrative purpose outside of being a simple cameo. At one point in the movie, the puppet uses the fast talker to contact Abby and kind of lure her to the original pizzeria. So I'm a huge advocate for suspending your disbelief for the sake of fiction, but it gets to a point. How does the puppet not only know who Abby is, but also know to use the fast talker to lure her? Hello? Plot hole? Anyway, Abby, of course, goes to the original pizzeria and meets Toy Chica, and completely dismisses the fact that Chica now does not look the same but can also speak. And can I just say, having the toy and withered animatronics just being bodies for the puppet to control is really lame. I really wanted them to be their own individual characters. The puppet uses Toy Chica as a way to manipulate Abby into entering a code that would give the animatronics access to the outside, given to her by Vanessa, who's being restrained by the ghost hunter girl who's possessed by the puppet. She gets tied up by the puppet and Mike finds her. Vanessa then leaves Mike to his own devices to defend himself against the Withers. I really wish there was more context given to the audience as to why the mask is used for protection against the animatronics, because while fans like myself understood, I could imagine this looked really stupid to non-fans. This is also, quite literally, the only scene where the Wizards are featured. They completely disappear for the rest of the movie. During the final battle, the puppet has possessed Abby, and she's defeated because she heard the music box she had as a kid. Henry, Charlie's father, gave the box to Mike and then completely vanished from the film's story despite being one of the most important characters in the games. Then the animatronics from the first movie just show up and destroy the toy animatronics. I guess they just spent the whole movie ignoring Abby and Mike's pleas. Mike telling Vanessa to stay away from him and Abby because of things that are completely out of her control also felt really weird. Just wanted to point that out. But oh wait, the puppet isn't beaten. Oh my gosh, she possessed Vanessa. Cliffhanger, no way. Oh, kill me. Really hope for the next movie they hire some experienced screenwriters, because Scott Cawthon has proven with this film that he is not a screenplay writer. This movie's story is incoherent and messy. It is painfully unscary, with every jumpscare being pretty obvious and predictable. The dialogue fluctuates from mediocre to straight up bad. Michael Afton and the puppet make no impact as antagonists and have terrible motivations. And the biggest problem of all for me is that this movie is boring. That's the biggest issue. At least the first movie was somewhat entertaining. This movie is just a slog, with a few mildly entertaining parts here and there, but for the most part, it's just boring. Don't get me wrong. There are some genuinely good things about this film. The positives I mentioned earlier still ring true, but they are unfortunately drowned out by all the mediocrity.